I was born in a very small, beautiful city named Al Ghurayat. My mom and dad both worked in the Ministry of Health, and I was homeschooled till my first grade because there was no school in the city. My parents felt that it needed to do more for their kids, so after 5 years of more struggle, I came to the city called Riyadh. Now, this city was special. I still remember seeing it for the first time, and it breathed. There is something undefinable. It was a mere desert with some skyscrapers for other people, but for me, it was much more. I then started going to the school and made the best of friends. Some of these people aren't in contact anymore, but I still am thankful because each person taught me something new, and I still laugh at some of these experiences. I lived in Saudi for 15 years, give or take. I was cultured, taught, and raised as a Saudi kid with a background of the Indian culture. And then shit happened. I had to immigrate to India because the cost of living just skyrocketed. For example, I had to pay taxes or dependent fees if I wanted to live with my family, and each member of the family has to pay separately. And that was really annoying and difficult for my family at that time. So at that moment, I remember the statement that my dad told me, and it was, "Listen, son, at the end of the day, we are Indian and we have to go back to India." This is told to a kid who was just been to India on vacations and never really experienced living there. And it felt like, why did my family, who have spent around 20 years of their life serving this country as immigrants, have been just kicked out of their own country? I still remember the moment when I was stamped exit on my passport. And I was at the airport thinking, is it done? Me and my sister were born in Saudi. My mom and dad served more than half of their lives in KSA. Why was I left like this when I sang a complete national anthem saying that I belonged to KSA? This video is for those people who are confused with their identities, who stop every time and pray that they can just go back and just live for a day. I wish I could just go to that farewell. I wish I could just have a meal in Al Baik. I wish I could just go to that mosque and pray my salah again. Here's the thing. This video is titled Being the Third Culture Kid. What does it mean? Third culture kids are individuals who are raised in a culture other than their parents or the culture of their country of nationality, and also live in a very different environment during a significant part of their early development years. They typically are exposed to a greater volume and variety of cultural influences than those who grow up in one particular cultural setting. The term applies to both adults and children, as the term kid refers to the individual's formative or development years. However, for clarification, sometimes the term adult third culture kid is also used. Now, I had to go ahead and research, and then I found this amazing subreddit called r/TSK. This subreddit proved that I was not alone. I read stories upon stories how third culture helped and how it destroyed people from within. I then had to reach out to multiple research studies and finally broke down with this. Being the third culture kid means you go through a lot of challenges and you also have some benefits with it. Let's start off with the challenges first. Number 1, confused loyalties. This issue is also related with the identity crisis on a cultural level, not being able to feel the sense of oneness with one nationality or culture. Oftentimes, the third culture kids cannot answer this very simple question: where is home? If you are asked the question, which country do you want to serve, you're probably not gonna answer that question, and people might think that you're an anti-national, but deep down, you don't have the answer with you. Number 2, painful awareness of reality. Difficulty in adjusting to cultures where the only culture that is discussed or focused on is itself. So for instance, you go into a store, and if you are a third culture kid or someone going through a transition, what happens is these are some flashbacks where you go ahead and then you try to bring the comparison factor. Now, for a person who's not third cultured, they cannot understand what you're going through, and that's normal because they are raised in only one culture. And this happens really often for the people who are third cultured and living in a different nation. This happens a lot. So that's the second one. Number 3, difficulties in adjusting to adult life. The mixture of influences from the various cultures that the individual has lived can create challenges in developing an identity. Feelings of being rootlessness and restlessness can make the transition to adulthood a bit challenging. Number 4, living in the nostalgia and not being able to accept the reality of things as it is and move forward. I've personally seen this a lot on social media, and I've personally met with people who are living in nostalgia, and it is very difficult for them to move forward. Let's get into the benefits. Number 1, expanded worldview. The third culture kids have an understanding that there is more than one way to look at situations that they are exposed to. Number 2, intellectual effects. The third culture kids were found to be able to demonstrate significantly higher levels of creativity and originality for problem solving than the third culture kids not given the same explicit instruction. This study has implications for the ways that the third culture kids can be instructed differently from the traditional curriculum to enhance their creativity and problem solving abilities. Number 3, increased tolerance. From the research that has been conducted on the third culture kids, it has been found that the subjects are generally more tolerant of different cultures and are more adaptable to the different cultures and people of different backgrounds than the subject from the same home country. Now, as I was working on this video, I made a simple research on my own, and it's not that special, but it's called the age of transition. According to this, the people within the demographic of 15 to 25 go through cultural transitions the most. And the best thing is, it's temporary. So there is this one line from The Office by a character named Andy Bernard. It goes something like this.
I wish there was a way to know you're in the good old days before you've actually left them.
So here's the funny thing. Our minds think from one perspective that these fun times are gone, but time is a very beautiful entity. What if we start realizing our current time and make the most of this? Because tomorrow, the same day would be yesterday. This video is to help you realize that yes, there are problems that you try to express, but people won't get it. They think that you're complaining. But it's time to realize that no matter what, being third cultured is awesome. These problems fade away when you realize that you have them and start solving them one by one. That's how I started on them. I started on the internet because internet doesn't have an identity. It's one for everyone. And as Mufti Mink once said, take the good from the people and leave the bad to them. Just like that analogy, I came up with this. Take the good from the experiences and leave the regrets out of it. Life is not that short. Your dreams to go back and experience it all will be completed, inshallah. And it helps if you master one skill, and it is patience. I hope you guys could relate to this project. I hope you guys are rewarded with the piece. My only motive was to let you know that you ain't alone. Take care now. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.